Hello, hello. So it's about 12 o'clock right now, and Ogamar is not very busy, as you can see. I'm hitting roughly around 50 to 55 FPS. Actually, I'd say closer, more around 45 lows and 55, 60s high, even a little bit lower than that, actually. But Ogamar isn't very packed right now. It's Tuesday. They just finished doing their maintenance. And so around this time, the main hub cities aren't particularly packed with people, although there is quite a bit. It's just nowhere near the amount of people who are playing the game at peak time. So I just want to document this. This is just to show what my FPS is before my upgrade versus after. I do plan on getting a new system, so I'm going to start documenting this as I go along. I've got an i7 2600K overclocked to 4.8. It's stable. The voltage is 1.44. I thought it was 1.4125. It's actually a little bit higher than that. My Celsius temps under medium to medium load, which is what this game is about right now. It's about medium load because the GPU is doing most of the work right now because I'm rendering in 4K. Is roughly around between 64 and 72 to 73 degrees Celsius. So it's a really good temp. The graphics card that I'm using is a GTX 1660 Ti. I have the memory overclocked to 999 hertz. That actually gives it a really good boost. And that really, it's because I believe there's only 6 gigabytes of RAM on this GPU. But because I'm rendering in 4K, the CPU is extremely old at this point in time. It's a decade old, if not longer than that, actually. Because it came out in 2000, I believe, 13. So we're close to 12 years. This is close to 12 years ago. This is a very old CPU. Although I believe it's something like, I don't know, 8 cores, something like 12 threads or something like that. It's not. It's equivalent to a really low end i3, and I would actually even say like a very low end Intel i3 is probably more powerful than this CPU, or maybe somewhat on par. But there's been so many technical advancements in CPUs that this CPU, sorry, is extremely dated. But anyways, I want to document this to show people that roughly I can get about 50 FPS on this GTX 1660 Ti. Again, it is more than slightly overclocked. It's about 1,000 megahertz on the RAM, but it's stable. The temps are all stable. I haven't had any crashes. I've actually been able to find a sweet spot to be able to play these games, run them in 3D and 4K, top and bottom view, and get a pretty solid experience. And I just want to document this. I know that the NVIDIA is releasing the RTX 5060 Ti tomorrow, which is significantly faster than the graphics card that I have in here right now. And it's sort of a toss-up right now to whether or not if I go with the 5060 Ti or if I just go all the way in and get an RX 9070 XT, which would be a fantastic card to get because you can game in 4K, get mostly everything at 60 FPS in 4K, which is phenomenal because it's only $1,000 here in Canada, anyways. I'm not sure how much it is everywhere else. Might be a little bit cheaper in the States, but that card is really big and it may not actually fit my case. So what I'm thinking is I may just keep this computer, keep it completely intact. This could be my, Warcraft 4K, gaming computer where I capture everything in 4K because I can actually capture an extremely high bit rate. Right now, because NVIDIA has their it's all hardware encoded. What is it? I always get this wrong. NVEC codec. It's built into the hardware of the GPU, so it's not my gameplay. Although there was a little bit of a stutter there, so maybe it is. That's probably my SSD, backing up. Because again, the system's really really old. So I can actually capture in extremely high bit rates. Right now, it's 312 megabytes per second. So if I game for 45 minutes, I typically can fill up about 100 gigs of hard drive space or SSD space in just video recording and gaming recording. But yeah, so we're going to run around a little bit. I'm going to show you Orgrimmar, what it looks like, when it's not very busy after the maintenance has been completed. You can see that it goes, 40 down to 40. Kind of goes all over the place, right? Depending on what it has to render. We're also going to talk just briefly about some of the new 3D tech that's coming out, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. Samsung is releasing a glasses-free 3D monitor, and I just want to talk about this for a little bit. And I know, like, there's been a lot of hate for 3D, especially for 3D movies for a long time. There's been a lot of people who really did not do positive reviews on the 3D content back in the day. And, you know, I want to talk a little bit about why. One of the main reasons really is because, let's say you wear glasses, right? There's a lot of people. I need glasses. I need to go get my eyes checked myself. So let's say you go and, you know, you get your glasses and, you know, your vision's a lot clearer, which I think my left eye is Scylla. I think a Scylla is about 1.75. My right eye might be 0.50. Could be even higher than that. So it's it's going to be a low prescription, but still, like, it actually does make a difference. So if I'm wearing glasses, right, and when in gaming, you want to have a clear experience, right? So you're going to want to, you know, to get that. That's going to be a priority of me in my personal life next. So if you're wearing glasses, and then on top of that, you have to wear more glasses in order to enjoy your game in 3D, it's cumbersome, right? And in a lot of the companies out there, you know, like Sony, Samsung. Not so much LG. LG went with a passive technology. I think Panasonic, they're all using shutter technology. So when you're wearing glasses and then you have this giant shutter glass on top of your eyes as well, it's kind of cumbersome and annoying. But Samsung's found a way around all of that by making a glasses-free 3D monitor, and that's huge. Huge for many reasons. I talked about this when I streamed last night. I did a whole audio recording and then I just scrapped it. But basically, just to sum it all up, back in the day when 3D vision was just starting off, you know, the early adopters, it was very expensive to become to get into the technology really early. You needed to have a really high-end GPU because you needed to render the image twice, once in each eye. So if you're gaming in 1080p, it's got to be 1080p in both eyes in order to get a really clear experience. And that's really taxing on a lot of the GPUs that came out back then, right? So I think I had a GTX 680 which had 2 gigabytes of RAM. It was a very old graphics card, but at the time, it was one of NVIDIA's flagship GPUs. So it was perfect for Warcraft. And you have to think too, back in the day when this is going all the way back in 2014, 2015 even, back when Warcraft was out, and at that time, I think we were sitting around Wrath of the Lich King expansion. Maybe we were a little bit further up than that. So the game wasn't as technically demanding as the retail version is right now anyways. So you're able to get a lot more out of those graphics cards because it wasn't having to render as much, you know, more HD textures and things like that. There was a lot less going on back then than there is right now. So the early adopters, it cost a lot of money. It was really expensive to get into 3D gaming back then. And on top of all that, you couldn't demo it to anyone, right? There was no way to show people how incredible these games look in 3D. And it's truly an unbelievable experience, right? And I've said this before, there's no way to actually explain it to a person. It's sort of like the Matrix. You know, no one can be told what the Matrix is, right? You have to be shown it. And that's really, literally what 3D gaming is as well. You really can't be told what it's like to play your game in 3D. But the best way, I mean, you can somewhat conceptualize it if I tell you, really take your game, or take your monitor and just cut a hole around it, and you're peering into the game world. That is exactly what it is, right? You're literally, it's like, you know, Alice in Wonderland looking through the looking glass. It's literally adding another dimension. It's adding another dimension to your game. You're peering into the game world. It's a really incredible experience. And for people who have been playing Warcraft for a really, really long time, and they're used to seeing their character in a certain way. Some people have been playing the game for 5, 10, 15 years, right? So it's been out since 2004, so November of 2004. So people have been playing this game for a long time. We're in 2025 right now, so you can imagine, people becoming really attached to their character. Well, think about the very first time you actually can see and feel the presence of your character, actually being able to see the size and the scope of them, right? It's quite profound. And when I first started playing games in 3D, it completely, utterly blew my mind. Now, the thing is, this is all, wonderful stuff, but the problem is, how do you get the average customer to experience this? How do you get them to see what it's like to game in 3D? I've talked about Skyrim a lot on, previously as well, and the reason why is because Skyrim is on a much older engine, and it tends to lend itself very well to 3D because as long as you're not using like a crazy amount of mods, you can get a really good gaming experience out of playing Skyrim, because it's just a 3D gaming experience, because the engine is a lot older. It's not too hard on most GPUs. I mean, nowadays you can run Skyrim on pretty much a toaster, but if you start adding mods, some of these mods can get really intensive. So excluding some of the mods, you can get a extremely wonderful 3D experience, and Skyrim just looks incredible. So that's all good and well, but again, the problem comes down to, how do you get people to see and feel and experience this? And what I believe Samsung needs to do is they need to start doing some demo. They need to have demonstrations done. And I mean, like going to Best Buy, talking to Best Buy, saying, hey guys, we want people to experience games in a new way. We want to show them what it's like. The 2 top games that you can do, that you can demo for people. The first one is World of Warcraft, for sure. I've talked about that last night as well, briefly. And again, I scrapped the whole friggin' video. But at some point in time, World of Warcraft had, almost 12 million people, or maybe they did have around 12 million people playing this game, right? And so over the years, there's been a lot of swapping. People have played it, stopped playing it, they come back and forth. And there's been a lot of new players as well. And I think currently it's sitting somewhere around 8 million people playing it. Maybe it could be more than that. It could be higher than that. I haven't checked in a while, but the last time I checked was, probably a couple months ago. I think it was sitting around that number, give or take, which is a lot of people, right? So even if you're a PC gamer, and even if you didn't really like World of Warcraft, you may have liked Skyrim, right? Those are 2 extremely popular games that I think are both the best games that you could possibly choose to make demos for, to show people what it's like to play games in 3D. Skyrim, it's so vast. It has, like World of Warcraft, there's a multitude of different biomes in the game as well. When you have the caves, you've got those underground tombs, and then you have the open world, fighting dragons in 3D, and just understanding the scope and size of the game world itself, being able to actually feel how large everything is. And I'll give you an example of this. And again, if you're not watching this in 3D, you're just not going to be able to experience this. And most of the people aren't, right? This is more of like an impromptu. This is more like a, this video is basically to get a little bit more awareness out there and to try to maybe stimulate the market, if you want to call it. Give it a little stimulation. Okay, all right. It's just to really, start a dialogue with 3D once again and see if whether or not we died. We all died. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to soulstones. Crap, I didn't put a soulstone on the guy. Okay, well, that's me not paying attention. Sorry, we're gonna have to do that again. That's my fault, everybody. But yeah, so if you're walking around in Best Buy and you're walking by a 3D display, and it's glasses free, you don't need to put glasses on. Maybe you're already wearing glasses. Maybe you're wearing sunglasses, prescription sunglasses. Who knows? Whatever you're wearing. If you're walking by there and you're walking by there and you just you just have to look over to see and experience what the game is in 3D. That is absolutely huge, and that's something that 3D Vision wasn't able to do. There weren't many people, companies setting up demo spots. It is kind of a cumbersome experience as well when you're wearing giant shutter glasses and they're kind of funky looking, and they kind of darken things up a little bit. Again, great technology, wonderful experience, but for the average person who hasn't experienced the game in 3D, it's a big leap to take. It's a big leap, right? Because you can't, going into this not knowing what it's like, to experience these games in 3Ds, it's hard to justify spending, X, Y, and Z amount of money on the hardware, on a powerful GPU, because the early adopters, it was quite, like I said, quite a bit. So Samsung has a massive, massive advantage here. If they really, really want to sell this technology, and if they really want to bring it back to life, the best way to do that is get as many demos machines out there. Get them in Best Buy. Show them in places where there's gamers, where there's PC gamers. Bringing it to CES24 was fantastic. Having people actually be able to have a hands-on experience with that. Oh, that is just huge. That is just absolutely huge. Really, truly. So people were able to sit down, and I believe they were showcasing World of Warcraft as well, which is fantastic. But the next one that they have to showcase is, in my opinion, is Skyrim, right? World of Warcraft is fantastic, but Skyrim is a big one as well, right? Because a lot of people have played Skyrim. So I'm looking forward to the feedback on what people are saying about the Odyssey 3D. I really do hope it stimulates the general interest for 3D again, and maybe this time around, not having to wear glasses, or not wearing to have any glasses, but just having the cameras track your eyes, maybe that will be enough to why is this not, where did I put this? Maybe that'll be enough to get people interested in again, and possibly invest in a setup, a 3D setup. So I'm not 100% sure about how they're going about doing it. I believe it's all done by AI. The monitor's in 4K. It's 165 hertz as well. It's got a 0.01% response time or something like that. It's a really low, or like a 1 millisecond response time, something like that. It's extremely fast though. It's a very, very fast response time for the monitor. Now I'm playing on a very old, like a 10 plus year old LG monitor, and I'm playing in 3D passive. I'm able to output the game in 4K. For whatever reason, the driver seemed to be able to allow me to do that, and so I'm able to record in extremely high bit rate as well. So when I upload these to YouTube, they look fantastic. They don't look as good as what I'm seeing right now, because just the quality gets lost no matter how much of a bit rate you're using. But it's there's a finger strength. No, not for me. Unfortunately, it just gets lost, but it still looks great. So I can't imagine what quality videos are going to be when it's in true 4K, because it'd be a huge leap to what I'm uploading to YouTube, right? And so I'm curious to see if, because there's advancements in the monitor technology and the resolution, that maybe the quality of the videos I'm going to be uploading are going to be better too, because this isn't really true 4K. I've told my NVIDIA 3D Vision drivers, my NVIDIA drivers that I've told my NVIDIA drivers that to render in 4K, so I had to make a custom profile. I went to, Y2422, and then I put the bit rate at something like 12 BTC or something like that. I found a I found a tutorial online and showing like how to like significantly improve the quality of your game on your LG monitors, and I did that, and it's a huge improvement. But it's really not true 4K. So I really myself personally would love to be able to see World of Warcraft on on that monitor. I think it'll just look just stellar. I think it's going to look incredible. They come in 27 inch, I believe, 27 and maybe 32. I think they're releasing the 27 inch to begin with to, I guess, to maybe test the market to see what people think about it. Where did I put these? Oh, I got rid of these, Okay. Just to see what people think about the technology. And I think it's going to do really well because you're going to get word of mouth. People are going to be talking about it. People who maybe thought about getting into the technology and getting into the 3D gaming, and now now that they know that it's glasses free, and if they're already wearing glasses, because most gamers they don't want to have like another set of lenses to be looking through to be able to experience their game. Like some of us will, like I would myself, because I just absolutely love gaming in 3D. But a lot of people are like, well, I'm already being encumbered by one thing, and then I have another thing on top of that, right? So it being glasses free makes it be a much more seamless and immersive experience, because you don't have anything sort of interjecting into the immersion, into the gaming experience, right? And so and you have to think every single time you put a layer over your eyes, you're getting, what is this going to vote? Remove one from the group. Reason given was 51. Oh, was he level 51? Anyways, okay. It actually slightly darkens the game as well, which is why NVIDIA came out with their 3D Boost 2. I think about a year after the 3D Vision came out. I think that was one complaint people were making, was like it was just too dark. So they came out with 3D Vision Boost 2 glasses, which did help, but still. So even if you are, you have the shutter glasses on, and then you have another pair of glasses, it can be cumbersome. So this allows people to just be able to experience the game like they normally would. They just have to look at the monitor. So that's huge. And that opens up Samsung to being able to demo these everywhere. And that is going to be key. People need to actually experience it. They have to experience it themselves, right? It's all good and well to kind of visualize it, right? You've all been to the movies, and maybe you've seen a 3D movie. I don't know if you have kids or not. If the kids love 3D movies, but if it's really different than that. It's not. See, when directors are making movies in 3D, they have to be very aware of how the audience is going to experience that movie in 3D, right? So you can't have too much pop out. You can't have too much depth. You have to be very conservative with how much how much you want to force the 3D down the audience's throat, right? Avatar was done really well. Avatar 1 was excellent. Avatar 2 is really good, done really good too. But James Cameron is very, aware of the of how far you want to take 3D in the audience, right? And so when you're not playing games in 3D all the time, your eyes just aren't used to it. So you can't just jam it down. You can't just jam high depth, high pop out down the audience's throat, because it's just going to be too much for them, right? It's just going to be bothersome to their eyes. Now, once you get used to it, you love it. You want the max depth. You want as much pop, but not like you don't want like your character coming out of your screen 6 feet. I have my character being able to come on my screen. Like right now, that's about as much as I can handle. My character is probably about 2 feet out of my my monitor right now. And that's no joke. I can barely handle that. But I don't play like that. I play with with my FOV a little bit further back. But you get used to it. Right, you get used to it, and so people who are going to these little micro sessions, hour and a half, 2 hour sessions of watching movies in 3D and experiencing 3D, it's just not enough time for your eyes to get used to, max depth and a really tight convergence, and to have that really good pop out. With gaming, it's different. So you can really take it to the precipice, right? You can really push your experience and make it ultra immersive, which is how I play my games. I play them with I have max depth, pretty much max depth on pretty much all the games I play with a really tight convergence, which gives you some great pop out, right? So, it completely immersifies you. I'm playing on a 55-inch TV. Now, don't get me wrong. See, in this particular instance, right? It's a really tight, tight area. You've got, you got your torrents everywhere, and you got your characters, popping right out. Like, that's a little bit too much for me, but I can just zoom out a bit. If it gets a little bit too much, I just zoom out, right? And my eyes adjust. That's why Warcraft is such a great first game to play in 3D. It really lends itself well to the 3D experience, but also if you're a long-term, Warcraft player, the tricks. You can just really quickly shut off, the your UI. You can shut everything off really quickly, and that creates a much more immersive experience as well. Oh, I'm not gonna make this. There's no way. No. Oh, I did. I made it. Ooh. Okay, there we go. But are these guys going to be able to? Yeah, look, they all did. Right, so if you know the tricks, you can quickly get rid of it. Right, you know how to zoom in and zoom out. A lot of people have the fourth mouse wheel, the scroll button. So, if it becomes a little bit too much for your eyes, you just zoom out really quickly, right? It's a great way to control the intensity of the 3D. And as time goes on, your eyes get stronger, they get more used to it, and honestly, you want more 3D. You keep pushing and pushing to get higher limits, right? To get more depth and get more pop out. Like, you don't want an insane amount of pop out. You want just enough to make it so that your brain can really conceptualize and feel the presence of all your characters and the presence of the environment. But you don't want it to be to a point where it's like almost annoying and straining on your eyes. And so directors, when they're making their movies, they're very conscious about that. They know that they cannot, as much as they would love to put so much depth and just a great amount of pop out, they really can't do it because it would be very strenuous on the audience, because not everyone is used to gaming in 3D or experiencing 3D movies. A lot of people, some people don't even watch 3D movies, and then their kids drag them to it, and then it's like, whoa, that's too much, right? Their eyes are just not used to it. It's a lot. So Samsung having their 3D monitors just displayed to the public, and people actually, I'm stuck down here, I guess. Can I summon him? Should we go back for this guy? What's going on, guys? Oh my God. I didn't even know he was down there. Never mind coming. Okay, he's coming up. All right. Man, Warcraft is freaking hilarious too. Man, it's just a great guy. I really do wish Samsung talks with Blizzard and has a discussion with what? Oh, you guys are all going back for him? Oh, you guys missed they missed the quest giver to complete it. I really do wish Samsung talks with, Best Buy, with Blizzard, with anyone that they can to get as many demos as they can out there. And you have to understand, to have the full experience in 3D, it takes time. When NVIDIA 3D Vision first came out, their beginner setting, okay, just so you can understand, the beginner setting is depth of 15%. Very, very low, because they knew that your eyes needed to adjust. They needed to get used to experiencing the game in 3D, seeing everything from that new perspective, and so it takes time. And then they left it up to the gamer to decide whether or not they wanted to increase the depth and separation on their own. So you could, I think it was Control F4 or something, or Control F3 to control your depth, and then Control F5 and Control F6 to do your convergence, right? So it was up to the user's discretion, the gamer's discretion, of whether or not they could handle more. If they could handle more, then, more power to them, crank it up, right? Which is, and it doesn't take very long. I'd say to go from 15% depth and a very low convergence, I would say it would take you roughly about a week to do it, okay? And you might be thinking, wow, a week, holy crap, I gotta wait a week before I can get the full 3D effect. But trust me, even at 15%, you're still gonna be blown away. It's still gonna be like looking through the looking glass. Like, it's gonna be like Alice in Wonderland, just stepping into another dimension, just having a hole cut out right into your game. It's still gonna be like that. It's just not gonna be as intense. And as time goes on, you'll slowly be able to increase the depth and the pop out, and then you'll really get, after about a week, you'll be like, okay, now I understand what he's saying. My eyes can handle more. I'm used to it. I have more control. I know what I'm supposed to do in areas where where it's very close and all the characters popping out on the screen and it's a little bit too much on my eyes. I know now what I'm supposed to do. Oh, better get out of this way. I know now what I'm supposed to do. I just have to pull back on my FOV, on my wheel, or I have to just reposition myself. And you'll adjust to playing the game in that way. So like most people have adjusted to have readjusted to playing their games in 3D, because you do have to play them ever so slightly different than you would in just regular 2D, right? Like if you're back up against a wall in 2D, it can be a little bit annoying, but in 3D, when everything's like really popping out, it's like, well, it's a lot for a person who's playing a game in 3D. I'll just give you an example real quick, right? Okay, after we just kill this guy. So, you're up against a wall or whatever, you see, it's like my character's popping right out, right? It's like he's like 3 feet out. So I can like literally put my hand out and almost touch him. But it's really, really hard on the eyes. So typically I'm not going to be playing the game, up against a wall like that. I'll be repositioning myself. So you will have to make some adjustments to how you play your games in 3D. Just minor adjustments, but it's well worth it. It is well worth it. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much about it. I just wanted to do another video showcasing what my computer's doing right now, just having a small conversation about 3D, and just going over some of the new technology. And I am really excited about Samsung's 3D monitor. I think that it's going to do really well, mainly because anyone can walk up to it and experience it, right? As long as you don't have... there's a couple of, if you have vision issues with your vision, I'm not sure how, like if it's just because if you just need glasses, you'll be perfectly fine. If you've played games in VR, you'll be perfectly fine. A lot of people who are VR enthusiasts, they're like hardcore enthusiasts. They just absolutely love playing games in VR. Like a great game in VR, Skyrim, like absolutely, it's mind-blowing what people are doing for for Skyrim. It looks incredible, for one. Did I finally get an upgrade on my pants? Ooh, I did. Holy crap, that's a huge upgrade. Yeah, because I think I had just greens before. So if you're used to playing VR, you'll see that certain games tend to play better when it's on a monitor. World of Warcraft is one of them. That's why I say it should be the go-to game when you're showcasing what your monitor can do in 3D. Okay, guys, that is it for this very long video. I think I've been babbling on for about half an hour now, maybe a little longer than that. I'm going to upload this to YouTube. I am slowly editing videos in the background. Like I said, my computer is like a dinosaur. It's it's on life support right now, pretty much. Everything is like, I have so much stuff. I have so many programs in the background. Just like propping this thing up just to like keep it alive. Oh, by the way, like you see, Ogre Mars is a little bit more packed. See how Ogre Mars is a little bit more packed? Just a little bit, right? But look at my frames, right? So just the more your GPU has to process information, the more taxing it is and the less FPS you have. So a pretty big difference, right? I was getting roughly between 55, even 60 at some point in time. Now I'm down to about 40 on average. So as Ogremar gets more and more packed, and everybody who plays Warcraft experiences this, but it's a very old system that I have, but I can still play the game in 3D comfortably. Even when it's really packed, The lowest that I get is roughly about 30 to 35 FPS. So I'm really happy that I'm able to do this, which tells me, people who have systems that are just even marginally more powerful than mine are, you're going to be able to experience 3D in the exact same way that I'm playing right now if you're using the Geo drivers, or whether or not you're using Samsung's AI, 3D software conversion tool. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but either way, you're still going to get a great experience. You're really going to get just a truly clear and seamless experience. I'm happy with 40 FPS here, right? There's a lot going on right just in this little spot here, and I am quite happy with that. It feels very smooth. Because I'm using an NVIDIA graphics card, I can record at super high bit rates and upload really, really clear videos. So, for people who are questioning whether or not they have the hardware for it, if you have something that is more powerful than a 1660 Ti, which most people do, I think one of the highest selling graphics cards out there right now is a RTX 3060 Ti, I believe, or just the 3060, because I believe the 3060 has the 16 gigs, the Ti has the 8 gigs. People realize that now that we need more VRAM. It's very easy to overclock your video card, so you can get a Ti performance, but you also have a higher amount of VRAM as well. So games like Doom in 4K do better with the 3060 16 gig versus the 30, or sorry, is it 12? Maybe it's 12 gigs opposed to the 8 gigs, but yeah, you have more VRAM. So if you have a 3060 and up, right, and that card is basically performs twice as good as the 1660 Ti, even if it is overclocked slightly, you're going to get a way better performance than I am. You're probably going to get close to, so like in this area right here, you're probably going to get 100 FPS. 4K, I have everything on medium to high settings. You're probably going to be able to get everything on high settings. Everything on high settings, 4K, and you're probably going to get 65 to 70 FPS, right? Maybe even higher, maybe even like more than that, maybe even 80 FPS. I would have actually assumed it'd be closer to 80 FPS because I have most of my settings on medium to high. So if you're on a 3060, you're just a regular 3060, not a Ti, slightly overclocked to match the speed, the core performance of the Ti, you're probably going to get 80 to 90 in Orgrimmar on a busy day with all high settings. So you're going to be able to get a really good 3D experience. So most people aren't going to have to upgrade their graphics card, upgrade their CPU in order to get a really good 3D experience, which is huge, which is absolutely huge, right? So right now is the best time to reintroduce 3D. It's the best and the worst time because there is a whole lot of other stuff going on in the world, but apparently it's not going to affect, graphics cards, which is great, which is fantastic. I really hope that that's true. Because if people have to pay even more for that, it's just going to kill off the growth of the technology, the interest of the technology. Because for the average 3D monitor back in the day, it was significantly more money than just a regular monitor. So back then, having a 120 hertz monitor, unless you had the old CRTs, which I think ran at about 110 on average, or they could run up to 110, it was like it was sort of a niche market. Not a lot of LCDs were able to do that, right? So they pushed the market, into creating higher hertz for monitors. So the 3D vision and gaming in 3D played a big role in pushing the industry to create monitors that had a higher refresh rate, right? Because in order to have a 60 FPS experience in 3D, you had to have a monitor that was capable of doing 120 hertz. So it played a big role in pushing the entire industry to creating monitors that were able to have higher hertz. So 120 started to become the norm really, really soon, really, really quickly. That's why in 2013, 2014, even 2015, a lot of 3D TVs were going 120 hertz. A lot of monitors were doing 120 hertz. And there was a lot of confusion actually about whether or not if your monitor was capable of doing 3D. That was a really popular question, because people thought, well, if my monitor can do 120, 60 left eye, 60 right eye, I can do 3D. Well, that's not quite how it worked. There had to be a syncing technology that was in the monitor, which synced up to the GPU, which allowed the overlapping, so you'd be able to see things sequentially and not out of sync. So there was other stuff behind it that needed to be there. So there was confusion about that, but because there was such a big push for 120 hertz monitors, other monitor companies were pushing for that as well. And even though they may not have adapted to 3D, it just helped to move along the basic requirements for 3D to play games in 120 to be present in those monitors, and especially in LG monitors, LG TVs that were passive, Sony, Samsung, Panasonic, right? So that was basically, so 3D did help to push a higher refresh rates in monitors in that aspect. But for people who are just getting into it now, all they need to do is just buy the monitor, right? And that's it, right? You can just need to buy the monitor. Even now, most people, if you can find an old 3D TV, it still does a great job. Like, I've been playing Warcraft for a few years now on this TV. It's a 55-inch LG. I think it's a LW6800 something, 55 LW6800, which it looks absolutely beautiful. There's very, very little ghosting. There is ghosting in certain areas of the game, and that's because of the drivers, the geo drivers, not so much the monitor. But when you have a company like Samsung working on all that gets cleaned up, right? They work on all that. The sky box is not at the right depth for Warcraft, but most people don't play the game looking up like this, right? Most people don't play the game looking like this, right? They look straight. So it's not really a major issue. You're hardly ever going to notice it. So in that aspect, I highly recommend, if you do wear glasses, don't let that deter you from getting back into 3D. Go, if you can find, if there's a place that Samsung is demoing their 3D Odyssey monitor, go check it out. Go down there and check it out, right? If you're interested in what it's like, I mean, if you've already experienced it in VR, it is a very different experience, okay? When you're in third-person view, like I said, some games tend to play better on a monitor in 3D versus in VR, right? So most people don't play Warcraft like this, right? Everything's frigging huge. Everything is absolutely huge. That's another thing that you'll start to see as well. When you're playing games in 3D, your perspective changes about the game world, the size of the game world itself. You start to realize everything is massive. Everything is massive. Torrents are huge. So if I get off my high horse here, if I get off my high horse, okay, and I start to zoom in first person view, you can see, look at the size of this guy. This raptor is ginormous. Okay, you go look at a Tauren here. Let's go find some guy on some Tauren somewhere. Look at the size. Look at the size of these Taurens. You really get the full scope and feel of other players, and you start to realize you're just this tiny little thing, this giant world. It's absolutely incredible. Okay, I've got to end this. I can ramble on forever about 3D. I truly love 3D. I really hope and pray for Samsung to get the most success ever with this 3D monitor. Please, I encourage everybody, if there's a way you can find a 3D display, 3D Odyssey display somewhere, if Samsung's doing that, which I really hope they do, because that's really how you're going to get people to understand how incredible this technology is. Go out there and just check it out. If it's a 20-minute drive, honestly, it's probably worth it. Yes, the monitors are it's an upfront fee that is going to be pricey, but in terms of what it's the quality of experience you're getting out of your games, you'll have to determine whether or not it's worth it yourself, but at least go and experience it first. At least go and find the display and actually play the game in 3D and experience it yourself first. Then you can make that decision, okay? A lot of people are really upset about how the prices of gaming are going up, understandably so. And I'm on board with that as well. It sucks. Everything's getting more expensive. It really does suck. Wages aren't going up as much, but everything else is. Woo! Right? We're living in that time. But when you think about entertainment value as a whole, okay? When you think about entertainment value as a whole, now, if you go to the movies, and I've used this example before in the past. Oh, God, I really got to end this video. It's probably 100 gigs. I'm going to have to upload to YouTube. When you go to the movies, you get 2 hours. It's a wonderful experience. You're probably out $50. Your kids, your wife, probably more than $100, right? And it's 2 hours entertainment value, if that, and then you're done. And then that's it. Okay, for 2 hours, you're out $100. Going to the movies is a wonderful experience. I love going to the movies with my daughter. I love going to the movies myself. I typically don't go by myself, but I will if it's for a really special movie. But typically I go with her. And yeah, I'm out $40-$50 or whatever when it's just me and her. And it's 2 hours later, you come out and it's like, that $50 is gone. But it's a great experience and it's still worth it, because you're thoroughly entertained for the 2 hours. And we just recently saw the Minecraft movie together. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed it. It was enjoyable. I recommend everyone take their kids to the Minecraft movie. It's fun. It's just a fun movie. That's all it is. It's just a fun, movie to watch. But 2 hours later, you're out $50. Now, in terms of entertainment value, video games have an extremely high entertainment value. You're spending $100 on a game, and that's like $100. Yay! Your wallet feels it. I know why my wallet feels it. My wallet can't do very much these days. Okay, with everything going up, I want to go spend my money on a brand new game. There's a new what is that new Atomic RPG that just came out. Everyone's raving about it, and everyone says it's a great game. I'd love to be able to buy it, but my wallet. I look at it, it's like, oh, okay. I don't think I'll be buying that right now. But whenever I do get something, I do my research on it first to see whether or not it's a game that I'd like to play. And then if I have to spend $100, I will, because the entertainment value for video games is huge. It's a giant money saver. In terms of every other hobby out there, it is a really huge money saver, because you can go out there, you can go buy, if you have a Steam account, okay, and you go and you buy games on when Steam has their sales, or Green Man Gaming, or there's a whole bunch of other them out there. I can't remember. Green Man Gaming was one I went to back in the day. You spend $100 on a day like that, you can buy literally 5 to 10 decent games. 5 to 10 decent games are on sale. Right? But you could get 20, 30, 40, 100 hours. I bought 7 Days to Die for $35, and I have over 1,000 hours in that. Okay? Just work out the math in that. Over 1,000 hours of fun in a game for $35. You think about the amount of entertainment value that provides. Think of Skyrim, all the mods. How many hundreds and hundreds of hours in Skyrim? Skyrim, yes, they keep on re-releasing it. I think there's 10 versions of it out there. I think I just recently bought the special edition because the Geo drivers allow for 3D in that game. It looks fantastic, by the way. God, I cannot praise that game enough in 3D. Looks great, runs great even on my system. I can get 4K, 60 FPS, even with mods. It's fantastic. But hundreds and hundreds of hours. So video games have extremely high entertainment value, okay? And the industry knows that. But they don't want to just crank it up, the price way, way, way high. Well, they want to, because they want money. Okay? But they know that there's a lot of people that's going to be like, whoa, that's too much. I don't have much in my wallet right now. I don't think I can afford to do that, right? There's not enough justification to put $100 down, even if it's 50, 60, 200, 400 or 1,000 hours worth of entertainment value. Okay, Warcraft, I spend $22 a month on this, and I can play it for as long as I want. I can play it 24/7 if I want to. So it has huge entertainment value. So games typically have more value for their entertainment per dollar than pretty much any other form of entertainment or content out there. Okay, it's just the way it is. And so it irks me that the price of things are going up, but at the same time, I've always been very conservative about where I'm spending my money when it comes to video games. And I really do my research beforehand. And I've come to the point where I'm looking at a game and I'm thinking, Is it worth it? How long am I going to be playing it for? Is it an 8-hour experience? Is it a 10-hour experience? You know, The Last of Us Part 1, it really is up to the individual. For The Last of Us Part 1, when that came out, I played the original on the PS3. I played the remaster on the PS4. And then they had the remake on part 1, which I think they classified as a remake. So I bought the game like 3 times, and once for every console. And I absolutely love the game, and it looks fantastic. So for me, you know, even though I probably invested about $150 into that game, it was still worth it for me to buy part 1 when it came out, because I just love the game. And it's still 8 to 10 hours, right? You know, you can finish that game in probably 7 hours, 6.5, 7 hours if you just run and gun. Probably even a lot sooner than that. You know, not if you're like trying to like beat records or whatever. You can probably beat the game in 3.5 hours. I believe that's the current record, something like that. But you know, I take my time with the game. I really enjoy it, and I've paid over $150 at least, because I've bought the game, you know, 3-4 times now, right? So it's up to the individual. I've become a little bit more cautious where I'm spending my money. I'm not too happy about the price of things going up, but I mean, it is sort of an inevitability with everything else going up. You know, it's a pinch to the wallet, and it's a shame that it's happening, but it was kind of inevitable. I kind of felt like this was going to happen. But, you know, to look at the silver lining of it, all right, I'm not trying to justify the reason for it, but looking at the silver lining for each individual person who's thinking about buying a game, if you know you're going to get a lot of entertainment value out of it, whether or not it be 10 hours or whether or not be 100 or even 1,000 hours, you know, if you know you're going to be getting hours and hours and hours and hours of entertainment value out of that, you know, of entertainment, you're going to have to make that judgment call on yourself of whether or not it's worth it. I personally think for myself, the extra $10 for me, it's worth it if it's a game that I'm going to get so many, you know, X amount of playtime out of it, and I'm thoroughly enjoying my time, because regardless, I know right off the bat, video games offer the most amount of bang for your buck when it comes to entertainment. Okay, but that's going to have to be on your own. So jumping into 3D, you know, having that little bit more expense on the monitor, so it all kind of adds up. But I recommend highly that you go and you find a display that is showcasing the 3D Odyssey, and hopefully they're doing it right, and they're showing the right games. Warcraft is the right game, and Skyrim is the right game to do it. And if they are showcasing those, please go down, try and find a place that's demoing it. I don't know if they are. I think it'd be silly if they weren't, because there's just no other way to experience it yourself, unless you have a 3D TV and you've gamed in 3D before. Maybe you've played VR games, but even that, again, it's a different type of experience. Go down there, check it out for yourself. On that note, guys, I am going to end the stream. Best of luck. Happy gaming. Bye-bye, everybody.